What if the greatest question you could ever ask the woman you love isn't, will you love me forever? But something much deeper, would you walk with me when forever gets difficult? Because marriage isn't simply asking someone to stand beside you on the beautiful days. It's asking them to take your hand when the road becomes uncertain, when dreams take longer, when life hurts, and when neither of you knows exactly what tomorrow will bring. There comes a moment in every man's life when he stops looking for a perfect woman and starts looking for the woman with whom he can build a real life. Not a life without problems, not a life without arguments, tears, disappointments, or difficult seasons. A real life. The kind where two imperfect people wake up every morning and decide that whatever happens, they will face it together. And maybe that's what I'm really asking when I say, would you walk with me as my wife? Bullies, I'm not asking you to promise me that every day will be easy. Man, I'm asking you to promise that when the days aren't easy, you won't immediately look for the door. Beminja, I'm not asking you to promise that I'll never disappoint you. Men, I'm asking you to promise that when I make mistakes, we'll have the courage to talk, to forgive, and to grow. Leans, I'm not asking you to promise that I'll always know what to do. Lean, I'm asking you to promise that when I don't have the answers, you'll remember that I am still trying to find them with you. Slanja, because I don't want a wife only for the beautiful chapters, I want a partner for the entire book. I want the woman who can laugh with me when life feels light and hold my hand when life feels unbearably heavy. I want someone who understands that sometimes I may come home tired and quiet, not because I've stopped caring, but because the world has taken more out of me than I know how to explain. And I want to be that man for her too, because marriage cannot be one person constantly carrying the other. Membiers, there will be days when I am strong and you are tired, but there will be days when you are strong and I am broken. And on those days we won't ask, why aren't you stronger? We'll simply say, I've got you. Shmeen, that's what walking together means. It means when one person loses balance, the other doesn't walk ahead. For men, they slow down, they reach back, they hold a hand, they say, take your time, I'm not going anywhere. It means I've learned that love is not proven by how passionately two people begin. It's proven by how faithfully they continue. Anyone can say, I love you, when everything is exciting. Lands, but what happens when the excitement becomes routine? What happens when bills arrives? What happens when dreams are delayed? What happens when families disagree? What happens when one of you is struggling emotionally? And what happens when you have a terrible day and accidentally bring that frustration home? Blaine, that's when love stops being a beautiful word and becomes a daily decision. And if I'm asking you to be my wife, I want you to know exactly what I'm asking for. I'm asking for partnership, I'm asking for friendship, I'm asking for honesty, I'm asking for patience. I'm asking for the kind of loyalty that doesn't disappear the moment life becomes inconvenient. Beck, I'm asking for a woman who can look at me after years have passed and still see the man she chose, not because I remained exactly the same, but because we grew together, milling because we will change. That's inevitable. The man standing in front of you today will not be exactly the same man 10 years from now. And you won't be exactly the same woman either. Life will shape us. Success will shape us. Land failure will shape us. Maybe children will change us. Responsibilities will change us. Loss will change us. Age will change us. But I don't want to spend my life trying to freeze you in the version of yourself I first fell in love with. I want to keep discovering you. I want to know who you're becoming. Lenzit, I want to hear the dreams you haven't dreamed yet. I want to know what makes you nervous at 30, what makes you hopeful at 40, what makes you laugh when you're 50. Leans, I want to grow old enough with you that our memories become longer than our plans. Bane, I want to sit across from you one day, years from now, and realize we've lived through things we once thought we couldn't survive. And I want to be able to say, look at us, we made it, not because we were perfect. Bands, because as we stayed, I once heard an elderly couple talking about their marriage after more than 5 decades together. Someone asked the husband what the secret was. He laughed and said, we never made leaving our first solution. Bland, that sentence stayed with me because today, too many people treat relationships like disposable things. The moment something becomes difficult, they start looking for something easier. The moment the excitement fades, they assume the love is gone. The moment they discover imperfections, they wonder whether they chose the wrong person. But maybe the problem isn't always that we chose the wrong person. Oh, maybe sometimes we simply haven't learned how to love a real person because real people are complicated. Real people have moods, real people have fears, real people have scars, real people make mistakes. And real people sometimes need reassurance. Real people sometimes need space. Real people sometimes say the wrong thing and regret it 5 minutes later, and real love makes room for humanity. Benz, if you're going to walk with me as my wife, I don't want you to pretend to be perfect. Moments, I don't want you to hide your tears because you think they'll make you look weak. Meanness, I don't want you to smile when you're hurting just to protect my feelings. Bent, I want to know the truth, even when it's uncomfortable, especially when it's uncomfortable. Bent, tell me when I've hurt you, tell me when you need me, tell me when you're afraid. Jean-Mance, tell me when you disagree, tell me when you feel neglected. Bands, because I don't want a peaceful marriage built on unspoken pain. I want a strong marriage built on honest conversations. And I promise you the same. I want to be able to tell you when I'm struggling without feeling ashamed. I want to tell you when I'm scared. Sheens, I want to tell you when I don't know what the next step is. I want you to know that strength doesn't mean I never fall. Strength means I keep getting back up, and sometimes I may need your hand to help me stand, just as I promised to reach for yours. That's what I believe marriage should be, not two people pretending they don't need anyone. Bounds, two people strong enough to admit they need each other. Cleanse, because there is something beautiful about having one person in this world who knows the real you. Not the public version, not the successful version, not the version you show strangers. The real one. JN, the one who gets tired, the one who worries, the one who makes mistakes, the one who sometimes doubts himself, the one who still has dreams he hasn't achieved, and knowing that person can look at you and say, I still choose you. Shenbius, that is a kind of love money cannot buy. And if you ever become my wife, I want you to know that I will never measure your worth by how much you do for me. Bemanger, I won't love you because you cook perfectly. I won't love you because you always look beautiful. I won't love you because you make my life convenient. I will love you because you are you. Telem Jilen Kalaleli. Because somewhere along the journey, your heart became a place where mine felt safe. And when a man finds that kind of woman, he shouldn't spend his life taking her for granted. Then he should protect the trust she gives him. He should protect her dignity. He should protect her peace. Lens. He should make sure she never has to compete with his ego for a place in his heart. Because being a husband isn't about being the boss of a household. It's about becoming the safest place your wife can return to after the world has been unkind to her. And if I ask you, would you walk with me as my wife? I'm really asking something much bigger. Shaman, I'm asking, will you build a life with me? Will you take this ordinary man with all his unfinished dreams and believe that together we can create something extraordinary? And will you walk beside me when the road is beautiful? And when the road becomes difficult, will you still reach for my hand? Celine, because I don't know exactly where life will take us. I don't know what challenges are waiting around the corner. Bean, I don't know how many storms we'll have to survive, but I know this. No, I would rather face an uncertain future with the right woman than live a predictable life without someone I truly love. And if you're willing to walk with me, then I promise you, I won't ask you to carry the whole journey alone. Then I promise you, I won't ask you to carry the whole journey alone. And Ben Lens, if your legs become tired, I'll slow down with you. Unbalanced. If your heart becomes heavy, I'll sit beside you until you can breathe again. Man, if you lose your confidence, I'll remind you of the woman I see when I look at you. And if the world ever convinces you that you're not enough, I want to be the voice that tells you you don't have to become someone else to deserve love. Blended, because I don't want a wife who spends her life trying to impress me. And I want a woman who feels safe enough to be completely herself. I want to know the woman behind the smile. I want to know the dreams you haven't told anyone. I want to know the things that scare you. I want to know the memories that shaped you. Malian, I want to know what makes you feel loved, what makes you feel forgotten, what makes you feel understood. Dreams, because loving you shouldn't mean assuming I already know everything about you. It should mean remaining curious about your heart. And there will be mornings when we'll wake up and everything will feel perfect. And there will be mornings when one of us will wake up carrying yesterday's worries. There will be celebrations. Drans, there will be disappointments. There will be unexpected opportunities. There will be difficult decisions. Banes, there will be moments when we laugh until our stomachs hurt. And there will be moments when neither of us knows what to say. Lins, but I don't want us to measure our marriage by how many difficult days we avoid. I want us to measure it by how many difficult days we face together. To bland it. Because a strong marriage isn't a life without storms. But it's two people who refuse to let the storm convince them to let go of each other. Vengeance, think about a ship crossing an ocean. The ship doesn't need calm, warm water every day. It needs a strong foundation. Men, it needs direction. It needs two people willing to keep steering when the waves become violent. Marriage is like that. Band of love is the reason you begin the journey. Commitment is what keeps you moving when the weather changes. And I want us to have both. I don't want to marry you because I'm afraid of being alone. I want to marry you because life feels more meaningful when I imagine sharing it with you. There's a difference. I don't need someone to fill an empty space in my life. I want someone whose presence makes the life I'm already building even more beautiful. And I want to do the same for you. I want to know what your dreams are and help you protect them. Jen, if you want to build something, I'll encourage you. If you want to learn something new, I'll support you. If you fail, I'll remind you that one failure doesn't define your future. Bendy, if you succeed, I'll celebrate you without feeling threatened by your light. Because your success will never make me smaller. Sinfla. If anything, watching you become the woman you were meant to become will make me proud. I don't want a relationship where one person has to shrink so the other can feel important. Ben, I want us both to grow. I want your world to become bigger because you met me, and I want mine to become bigger because I met you. That's partnership. Balance. That's what I mean when I say walk with me, not behind me, not beneath me, not ahead of me. Ben's beside me because I don't want to spend my life trying to control where you go. Mons, I want to discover where we can go together, and there will be moments when we disagree about the direction. Shims, that's okay. We don't have to think exactly alike to love each other deeply. Ben, you can see something differently than I do. You can challenge my opinion. You can tell me when I'm wrong, and I promise I will try to listen without turning every disagreement into a battle. Sure, Benjins, because I don't want to win arguments and lose you. And what's the point of proving you're right if the person you love feels unheard? Sometimes peace is more valuable than being right. Sometimes an apology is more powerful than an explanation. And sometimes the strongest thing a man can say is, I was wrong. And sometimes the strongest thing a woman can say is, I forgive you. Those words can rebuild what pride destroys. And I want us to be people who know how to rebuild. Balance, because there will be moments when we hurt each other unintentionally. We are human. Shion, there will be words we wish we could take back. There will be reactions we regret. Men's, there will be days when exhaustion speaks louder than wisdom. But I don't want our mistakes to become weapons. I want them to become lessons. Well, I want us to look at every difficult moment and ask, what can this teach us about how to love each other better? Men, that's how relationships become stronger. Not by pretending nothing ever goes wrong. Shin, by learning what to do when something does. And one day, perhaps years into our marriage, we'll look back at the younger versions of ourselves. Mains will remember the fears we had. We'll remember the things we thought were impossible. Chlenjet will remember how nervous we were about the future, and maybe we'll laugh. Len, because the future we feared became the life we built. Band. Maybe we'll be sitting on a quiet evening somewhere, drinking coffee, watching the sunset, and one of us will say, can you believe how long it's been? And I'll look at you and think about the woman I first met. I'll see the same eyes, but with more stories behind them. And I'll see the same smile, but with years of memories attached to it. And I'll realize that I didn't simply marry a beautiful woman. I married a lifetime of moments. I married the laughter. I married the difficult conversations. I married the late night talks. I married the unexpected tears. I married the celebrations. Baindis, I married the ordinary mornings that nobody else would ever remember. And I married the hand I wanted to hold when we were young, and the hand I would still want to hold when we were old. Blaine, that's what I'm asking for, not perfection, a lifetime. And if we are blessed with children someday, I want them to grow up watching two people who don't just say they love each other, but demonstrate it. I want them to see that respect matters, that honesty matters, that kindness matters. Blaine, that a man can love a woman without controlling her, that a woman can love a man without losing herself. Giemens, I want them to learn that real love isn't loud all the time. Bean, sometimes real love looks like making dinner when the other person is exhausted. Ben, sometimes it looks like taking care of the children while your partner rests. Sheen, sometimes it looks like sitting quietly together after a difficult day. Leaned, sometimes it looks like sending a simple message that says, I'm thinking about you. Small things, ordinary things. Mans, but those ordinary things become the memories of a lifetime because nobody builds a great marriage in one grand moment. You build it one ordinary day at a time, one promise at a time, one apology at a time. Men's one act of patience at a time, one decision to stay kind at a time. Semblance, and if I ever forget that, I hope you'll remind me. If you ever forget it, I'll remind you. Land, that's what walking together means. We remind each other who we wanted to become when we made the promise. Painjin, because there will be seasons when love feels effortless, and there will be seasons when loving well requires discipline. Melanjown, but I don't want us to confuse difficulty with failure. Amandi, some of the strongest things in this world were built under pressure. Diamonds, muscles, character. And sometimes marriages become strongest after surviving the seasons that once seemed capable of destroying them. Land, the important thing is that we don't let hardship turn us against each other. Bandas, let it turn us toward each other. When life becomes difficult, come closer. When you're scared, tell me. Band, when I'm struggling, I'll tell you. When we don't know what to do, we'll figure it out together. Pollen, because I don't know doesn't have to mean I'm leaving. Bane, sometimes it can mean I don't know yet, but we'll find out together. And perhaps that's the most honest promise anyone can make. Means I can't promise you exactly what tomorrow will look like. I can't promise you that I'll never fail. Melender, I can't promise you that we'll never hurt. Bands, but I can promise you that I will keep learning how to love you better. Ellie, I can promise you that I will not stop choosing you simply because life becomes inconvenient. Bands, I can promise you that your heart will never be something I treat casually. And I can promise you that when I look back at my life, I want your name connected to the best parts of it. Bane, not because you made everything easy, but because you made everything worth it. And B, so when I ask you, would you walk with me as my wife? I am not asking you to step into a perfect future. I'm asking you to step into an honest one. And a future where we grow, where we learn, where we forgive, where we laugh, where we sometimes cry. Pulling is where we build something that neither of us could have built alone. And if you're willing to take that first step with me, then I want you to know that I will cherish something more than the wedding day. But I'll cherish the day after, and the day after that, and the 1,000 ordinary days nobody takes pictures of. Fans, because the wedding is one day, marriage is the life we create afterward. And I don't just want to stand beside you when everyone is watching. I want to stand beside you when nobody is. I want to stand beside you when nobody is. I want to be there for the mornings when the alarm rings too. Early and neither of us wants to get out of bed. I want to be there for the evenings when we're exhausted and all we can manage is a quiet meal and a few minutes together. I want to be there when something wonderful happens and you're the first person I want to tell. And I want to be there when something terrible happens and you don't know what to say. I want to know the ordinary version of our love because I believe that's where the extraordinary lives. Dan's people celebrate weddings because they're beautiful. They celebrate the photographs, the clothes, the flowers, the music, the promises spoken in front of everyone we love. But the wedding is only the doorway. The real story begins when the guests go home and two people wake up the next morning and realize, this is our life now. And that's the part I want. I want the life after the applause. I want the grocery store conversations, the unexpected road trips, The inside jokes nobody else understands, the birthdays that don't go exactly as planned, the quiet Sundays, the difficult decisions, the long drives, the late night conversations, the moments when we sit together without needing to say anything. Men's, I want to know what it feels like to build memories that aren't designed for an audience. Banda, because the deepest love is rarely performed, it's lived, and if you become my wife, I don't want to spend our marriage trying to convince the world that we're happy. I want us to actually be happy, even when nobody sees it. Even when nobody compliments us. Even when our relationship isn't picture perfect. Because our love doesn't need an audience to be real. Men's, it only needs two people who are willing to protect it. There will be moments when life asks more from us than we expected. There may be financial pressure. There may be family problems. There may be seasons when one of us has to sacrifice more than the other. There may be dreams that don't happen when we want them to. And in those moments, I hope we remember why we started, not because life was guaranteed to be easy, and because we decided that the person beside us was worth the effort. That's what commitment means. It means the promise isn't only I'll love you when I feel happy. Means the promise is I'll keep treating you with love even when I'm tired, frustrated, disappointed, or afraid. Feelings matter. Feelings matter. But character matters too, and there will be days when character has to carry what emotion cannot. That's why I don't want us to build our marriage only on feelings. I want us to build it on friendship, because when romance is quiet, friendship remains. I want to be the person you can laugh with, the person you can tell your embarrassing stories to, the person you can sit beside without pretending, the person you can call when something amazing happens, the person you can call when something goes wrong. I want you to know that you don't have to earn my attention. You don't have to compete for it. You don't have to wonder whether I'm listening. If you're talking, I want to hear you. If you're hurting, I want to know. If you're excited about something that seems small to everyone else, I want to care because it matters to you. That's what it means to love someone's heart. You learn what matters to them and you make room for it in your own life. And I hope you'll do the same for me. Maybe there will be things I love that you don't understand. Maybe there will be dreams that seem strange to you. Maybe there will be days when I need encouragement. I don't expect you to become me. I don't want you to. I want you to remain completely yourself while we build something together. Because the best marriages aren't two people losing themselves in each other. They're two whole people choosing to share themselves with each other. And there is something incredibly beautiful about that choice. You don't belong to me. You walk beside me, and I don't belong to you. I choose you every day. That's the difference between possession and partnership. I don't want to own your heart. I want to be worthy of it. I don't want to control your future. I want to support it. I don't want to tell you who to become. I want to discover who you become and love you through the process. And I hope you'll give me the same freedom. Because if we're going to spend our lives together, I want us to grow without fear. I want us to be able to say, this is who I am becoming, without worrying that change will make the other person leave. Because love should be a safe place for growth, not a prison where you are punished for becoming more fully yourself. Yes. And perhaps one of the most beautiful things about marriage is that you get to witness a person becoming who they were always capable of being. You get to see the shy girl become a confident woman. You get to see the uncertain man become a father. You get to see dreams become reality. You get to see failures become wisdom. You get to see two people who once knew almost nothing about each other become so familiar that a single glance can communicate an entire conversation. That kind of intimacy cannot be rushed. It is built slowly, and I want to build it with you. I want years with you, not just moments, years, enough time to know every version of you. Enough time to remember stories you have forgotten. Enough time to watch your hair change. Enough time to watch mine change. Enough time to laugh about how serious we thought we were when we were young. Enough time to sit beside each other in silence and still feel completely understood. And when we reach that age, I hope we don't look back and wish we had spent more time proving our love to other people. And I hope we look back and realize we spent our time living it. Blend it, because one day all the things that seem so urgent today won't matter as much. Gem, the arguments that consumed hours will become forgotten. The things we worried about will become memories. The opinions of strangers will disappear. The only thing left will be the life we built, the people we loved, then the moments we shared, the way we treated each other. That's the legacy I want. And I don't need the world to think I had a perfect marriage. Then as I want the woman I married to know she was loved. Yeah, I want her to know she was respected. I want her to know she was safe. Menges, I want her to know that when I said, for better or worse, I didn't say it because it sounded beautiful in a ceremony. I said it because I meant it for better, for worse, for richer, for poorer, in sickness, in health, not as empty words, as a decision to keep walking, And if one day you ask me why I chose you, I hope my answer won't be about your beauty alone. I'll tell you that I chose the way you made kindness look effortless. I chose the way you cared about people. I chose the way you made ordinary moments feel important. I chose your strength. I chose your honesty. I chose your heart. I chose the woman you were, the woman you are, and the woman you're still becoming. And if you ask me whether I still choose you after all these years, I hope I can look into your eyes and say, especially now, billions. Because after seeing you through real life, after knowing your fears and your strengths, after watching you grow, after surviving difficult seasons together, my love shouldn't become smaller. It should become deeper. That is what I want. Not a love that burns brightly for a few months. A love that becomes a steady light for decades. A love that survives the changing seasons. A love that doesn't disappear when life becomes ordinary. A love that grows roots. So would you walk with me as my wife, and would you walk beside me when the road is smooth? Ling, would you hold my hand when the road becomes difficult? Kalangd, would you laugh with me when life gives us reasons to celebrate? Lan, would you sit beside me when words aren't enough? No, would you challenge me when I need to grow? Balalos, would you forgive me when I sincerely make mistakes? Would you allow me to love you through your imperfect days? The same way I hope you'll love me through mine. Colombians, would you choose partnership over pride? Would you choose communication over silence? Would you choose forgiveness over keeping score? Plans, would you choose us when life gives us every reason to become tired? Lean, because if your answer is yes, then I don't need a perfect future, I just need a real one with you. And if we can walk through this life hand in hand, protecting each other's hearts, encouraging each other's dreams, forgiving each other's mistakes, and choosing each other again and again, then maybe the greatest love story isn't the one where two perfect people find each other. Belines, maybe it's the one where two imperfect people decide that no matter how long the road becomes, they will keep walking together, and when the years have passed, when the world has changed around us, when our hair has turned gray and our hands carry the evidence of everything we've lived through, I want to look at you one more time with the same question in my heart. Blends, not because I doubt the answer, because I want to remember the beginning. Would you walk with me as my wife? And I hope you'll take my hand, not because you know exactly where the road will lead, but because you trust the person walking beside you, and then together we'll take the first step. And another, until one day we look back and realize that the greatest thing we ever did wasn't finding a perfect life. Lamens, it was choosing each other for the imperfect one we were given. Beland. So if you're the woman standing beside me today, hear this with all your heart. Milin, I don't promise you a life without storms. I promise you that you won't have to face them alone. Bent, I don't promise you that I'll never fail. I promise you that I'll keep learning, growing, apologizing, and trying. Belindi, I don't promise you that every day will feel like a honeymoon. Men's, I promise you that I'll never stop being grateful that you came home to me. And I don't promise that our story will be perfect. I promise that I'll fight to make it meaningful. Band, because love isn't the promise that nothing will ever hurt. Love is the promise that when something does hurt, we won't run from each other. Tran, we'll run toward each other, we'll hold on, we'll listen, we'll heal, we'll grow. Amden will keep walking. So, my love, if your heart is willing, take my hand. Binja. Let's leave behind the fantasy of a perfect marriage and build something far more beautiful. A real marriage. A faithful marriage. A patient marriage, a marriage filled with laughter, forgiveness, trust, friendship, and a love strong enough to survive the ordinary days. Jane, would you walk with me as my wife? Blamed is because I don't just want someone to stand beside me at the beginning. Mears, I want someone who will still be beside me at the end. And if that someone is you, then wherever this road leads, I'll be there, walking with you.